Have you ever encountered a figure so grand, so theatrical, so utterly influential that they seem like they've stepped right out of a novel, maybe one they wrote themselves?
That's a great way to put it.
Well, today, prepare to meet Gabriele D'Annunzio. We're doing a deep dive into his extraordinary life. He was born in 1863, right into this newly unified kingdom of Italy, a young nation, really grappling with its identity.
Yeah, very formative time.
And D'Annunzio emerges as this incredible force. I mean, wielding words like weapons, living his entire existence as if it were, well, performance art.
Completely.
You're about to meet the man who literally transformed himself into, and this is a quote, the most intoxicating and dangerous literary figure in Italian history.
And that's really our mission for this deep dive. We wanted to explore the extraordinary, multifaceted life of this man. Poet, lover, warrior, political leader.
All of the above.
An architect of his own legend, definitely. We'll trace these shifting personas, how he relentlessly pursued this vision, transforming the world through beauty, heroism, aesthetic perfection, even when, got controversial.
Right.
And what's key here is he didn't just do these things, he embodied them. His own life was the canvas, for his art, his ideology. You'll uncover some surprising facts, compelling stories. He was unforgettable.
Okay, let's unpack this then. A living legend, changing roles constantly, like you said, embodying them. And speaking of embodying things, his personal style. We have to get into that, including those famous 300 suits. But first, let's go back to his beginnings. How did this genius first show itself, his early life in Pescara? It immediately showed his unique gifts, didn't it?
Oh, absolutely.
From a really young age, he had this, they called it an almost supernatural facility with language, already using sexual imagery, classical allusions in his poems.
Incredible.
And astonishingly, he published his first collection, Primavera, in 1879. He was barely 16.
16. And Primavera.
Well, it didn't just impress people, it scandalized and mesmerized in equal measure.
Wow.
Yeah, here's this teenager writing with this pagan sensuality.
Yeah.
It seemed like he was deliberately mocking sort of Catholic propriety of the new Italian state.
So provocative from the start.
Exactly. Critics call him precocious, sure. But priests, maybe more accurately, they called him dangerous.
I bet they did.
And what's fascinating is how this early work just instantly set his lifelong pattern. Provocation, pushing boundaries.
Yeah.
It really set the stage for that bold declaration he made at 17.
Which was?
I was born to transform the world through beauty.
Okay. No small ambition there.
Not at all.
And he didn't waste time. His university years in Rome. Sounds like he wasn't really focused on traditional studies.
No, not really. He dove headfirst into the city's literary salons. He seemed to instinctively get that in this fragmented cultural landscape of New Italy.
Yeah.
Whoever captured the people's imagination would basically shape the nation's soul. But what was it about him, his approach, that made him so suited for that?
That's a really crucial point.
Uh-huh.
Rome in the 1880s, it was this city caught between its glorious imperial past and this really uncertain future.
Right.
D'Annunzio didn't just see that. He exploited it. He positioned himself very deliberately as the prophet of a new Italian Renaissance. A figure who wouldn't just reconcile these two worlds through art and action, but who would be the spirit of this revitalized nation. It wasn't just ambition, it was this deep insight into how you could forge national identity, not just with politics, but with a charismatic living symbol.
His commitment to life as art even extended to his home. Can you describe his Roman apartment? It sounds less like a place to live and more like a stage set, a shrine to aesthetic excess, I think one source called it.
It is a perfect description.
But was it just about beauty, or was there some pure extravagance, maybe calculated self-promotion going on there too?
Oh, it was definitely both. And that's the genius of it, really. His core philosophy was, life must be lived as art. Every single detail was meticulously crafted.
Like what?
Well, his daily routine was ritualized. He'd rise at dawn, right in a silk dressing gown, surrounded by his collection of exotic birds, peacocks, rare parrots, finches, like a living symphony around him.
Wow.
And famously, he had breakfast served on gold plates. He genuinely insisted, or at least claimed, that food tasted different on precious metals.
Slight chuckle. Gold plates. Part of me thinks that's just peak decadence, but maybe it was just another layer of the performance to make every moment extraordinary.
Could be both, right?
He took it to such fascinating places. His letters, for example, written on paper, perfumed with different scents for different people.
Yes. Jasmine for lovers, sandalwood for editors, frankincense for critics.
Incredible. And then the suits. Over 300 suits, each tailored for specific occasions. What was the point of all this relentless aesthetic perfection for him?
Exactly. It wasn't just indulgence. So him, every detail, the scent, the suit, it all contributed to the overall artwork of his life.
Okay.
And this whole commitment to aestheticism, it really crystallized in his novel Il Piacere, the Child of Pleasure, published in 1889.
All right, I've heard of that one.
The main character, Andreas Borelli, this decadent aristocrat,
Yeah.
it was transparently autobiographical, and its success was immediate and scandalous. Condemned for pagan hedonism, hailed as the first truly modern Italian novel.
So a mixed reaction.
Very mixed. But the key thing is, he wasn't just writing about blurring art and life. He was doing it, incarnating his philosophy in every gesture, every word,
Yeah.
living his art like that, pushing boundaries. He captivated society. He basically created this public persona that, foreshadows modern celebrity culture.
Now let's shift gears a bit. His romantic life, just as dramatic as his writing, apparently.
Oh, absolutely.
His most famous affair started in 1894 with Sarah Bernhardt, the legendary French actress.
The divine Sarah.
Exactly. And their first meeting, it sounds like it was orchestrated, like a scene from an opera. Gilded salon, Rome's Hotel Excelsior. Sarah, aged 50, arrives in a gown of midnight blue silk. D'Annunzio, 31, in a white velvet jacket adorned with silver buttons. It's all so cinematic.
Deliberately so, you
What?
have to think.
And their opening lines are just iconic. Sarah says, "Maestro, I have heard that you write love letters that could resurrect the dead."
Knuckles.
And D'Annunzio, ever the performer, replies, "Madame, I write only truth. If it resembles resurrection, perhaps that is because beauty itself is a form of eternal life." It's hard to tell where the performance stops and the real feelings start, isn't it?
It really is. And it's a perfect example of how, for him, art and life were totally inseparable, even in love. But this wasn't just a fling. It was a really powerful artistic collaboration.
Now so.
Well, the relationship lasted 3 years. It produced this extraordinary correspondence, blurring the line between devotion, maybe even worship. He called her the divine Sarah. She called him my beautiful eagle.
Wow.
And that connection, it fueled their art. Crucially, D'Annunzio wrote plays specifically for Sarah, for her unique talents. Roles that really showcase her gift for turning theater into this almost religious experience.
Any specific examples?
Their biggest triumph was La Città Morta, the Dead City, a tragedy set in ancient Greece. Its premiere in Paris, 1898, was a sensation. People hailed it as the birth of a new form of theater.
So their partnership genuinely elevated both of them.
Absolutely. It pushed the boundaries of what theater could achieve at the time. Then, as the new century dawned, D'Annunzio started this profound shift from aesthetic philosopher to political activist.
What prompted that?
His patriotism, his pride, had been really wounded by Italy's defeat by Ethiopia at Adwa in 1896. He felt this burning desire to see Italy assert itself, on the world stage.
So the salon wasn't enough anymore.
Exactly. The comforts of his Roman salon started feeling like a prison, not big enough for his grand vision. He saw this as the next logical step in his life as art, to embody the national spirit itself.
And his political career, brief but spectacular, like everything else he did.
You could say that.
Yeah.
Elected to the Chamber of Deputies, conservative, 1897. Fiery first speech demanding more military spending. Declared, Italy must choose between the path of glory and the path of shame. Very dramatic.
It sounds like him.
But then, 1900, the famous gesture, he literally crossed the floor in Parliament to join the socialists.
What? Why?
Declaring, with typical flair, I go toward life.
Wow. What did that shift mean for him, for Italy?
Well, it was classic D'Annunzio, wasn't it? A dramatic public rejection of stagnation, embracing this dynamic forward vision, even if it meant ideological inconsistency.
He was drawn to passion, movement.
Always, whether artistic or political.
Yeah.
And this led him straight into his fascination with aviation. It started as aesthetic admiration, but quickly became an obsession.
Okay, that's interesting. Why aviation? For a man of words, decadent living, why something so physical, so dangerous?
That's a really intriguing paradox, isn't it? He'd mastered words, now he wanted to conquer the skies.
So what was the connection for him? What did he see in it?
He saw it as this marriage of technology and poetry, the ultimate triumph of human will over limits, and an aesthetic experience in itself.
Oh.
It was the purest form of his life is art philosophy, defying gravity, sculpting the air with his body and machine. After his first flight in 1909, he wrote, To leave the earth is to be reborn as a god.
Good grief.
It wasn't just about speed or mechanics for him. It was about elevating the human spirit through this new medium.
And he wasn't just a passenger, right? He learned to fly himself.
At 47, an age when most people are settling down, he learned to pilot, insisted on trying aerobatics that challenged pilots half his age.
He sounds fearless, or maybe reckless.
Probably a bit of both. When he crash-landed in the Roman countryside in 1910, he walked away with just a bruised ego, which of course only boosted his reputation for being invincible. It seems like he actively courted danger to keep redefining that heroic image.
Absolutely. And his most famous flight, that was during World War I, over Vienna.
Yes. August 1918. He led a squadron of Italian planes on this propaganda flight. And the genius part, the very D'Annunzio part, was dropping leaflets, not bombs.
A gesture of psychological warfare.
Perfectly put. It matched his understanding of how theater, art could influence modern conflict. The leaflets, written by him of course, proclaimed Vienna. Upon the wings of the wind, the tricolor flies to you. Not to sow death, but to demonstrate that Italian genius can go wherever it wills. Learn to respect Italy or learn to fear her.
Using words as weapons again?
He understood symbols and words could be just as potent, maybe more potent than explosives.
So, after the war, D'Annunzio felt betrayed by the peace settlement, particularly about the city of Fiume.
Deeply betrayed. Fiume, modern Rijeka, was assigned to the new kingdom of Yugoslavia, not Italy. His response was, well, particularly audacious.
What did he do?
He led a volunteer force, about 2,000 legionnaires, and just seized the city himself,
Yeah.
September 12, 1919.
He just took it. Was that patriotism or another grand performance on a geopolitical stage?
For him, it was both, inextricably linked. The March on Fiume was called a Carnival of Defiance. D'Annunzio rode at the front, open car, flowers, wearing a uniform he designed himself.
Of course he did.
He set himself up as commandante of what he called the Italian regency of Carnaro. Governed Fiume for 15 months with this constitution that wildly combined radical democracy with mystical nationalism.
Wow.
It was a direct challenge to the whole international order, a living protest against a peace he thought was unjust, and maybe the ultimate expression of his belief that a nation's soul could be forged through aesthetic will.
And daily life in Fiume reflected this, his aesthetic philosophy in action.
Totally. Government sessions started with readings from classical poets. Citizens were encouraged to show up to official ceremonies in their best clothes. Even bureaucratic documents were written in D'Annunzio's elevated style.
He was literally turning governance into performance art, transforming mundane tasks into literary exercises. But practically speaking, how could that possibly work? How sustainable was it?
Well, it was undeniably chaotic.
Yeah.
And ultimately, no, not sustainable. But it was incredibly influential. His constitution for Fiume, the Carta del Carnaro.
The Charter of Carnaro.
Yeah, he co-created it with this anarcho-syndicalist, Alceste D'Ambris. D'Ambris' ideas on worker self-governance, direct action, they really fed into the Charter's unique mix. It was genuinely revolutionary.
How so? What did it mix?
It fused right-wing nationalism with left-wing social ideals, all filtered through D'Annunzio's own mystical vision.
And it had those 10 corporations representing different activities.
Right. But the 10th corporation,
Yeah.
that's pure D'Annunzio. It was reserved for the most noble and perfect souls, artists, poets, philosophers, and visionaries.
So he literally legislated a place for artists at the top, putting creativity at the core of government. That's an amazing ideal, but maybe a bit impractical for, running things day to day.
It definitely prioritized inspiration over bureaucracy, let's put it that way. Article 65 even declared, music is a religious and social institution. Mandated music education, public festivals celebrating beauty. The language of the Constitution itself was just peak D'Annunzio. Life is beautiful and worthy of being lived magnificently. The citizen who does not strive to make his existence a work of art betrays the highest human calling.
What did the world think?
Reaction was all over the place. H.G. Wells actually praised its democratic innovations. The Vatican swiftly condemned it. Just shows how radical this whole experiment was.
But the Fiume adventure didn't last, did it? It ended pretty dramatically.
It did. It crumbled under bombardment during what they called Bloody Christmas, December 27th, 1920. D'Annunzio was seen on his balcony, apparently tears streaming down his face, as his dream was reduced to smoke and rubble.
That's quite an image.
His final speech was defiant, though. They could destroy our city, but they cannot destroy our vision. It sounds like the end of one act, but definitely not the end of the performer.
Right.
Exactly. And that vision, well, it lived on in unexpected and some would say deeply problematic ways.
How do you mean?
D'Annunzio's political techniques, The mass rallies, the symbolic rituals, that fusion of politics and theater they were later adopted, and arguably perverted by Mussolini's fascist movement.
Ah, the Mussolini connection.
Yeah, the dynamic between them was complex. Mussolini clearly learned from him, the younger man watching the master. D'Annunzio, always sharp, observed after watching Mussolini, "That man has stolen my fire, but he lacks the soul to use it properly."
He saw it.
He recognized the power of his own methods, even as they were being twisted.
So after Fiume, D'Annunzio retreated to his estate on Lake Garda.
Yes, Gardone Riviera. He transformed it into Il Vittoriale degli Italiani, the shrine of Italian victories. This became his final, grandest performance.
Creating a monument to himself.
Exactly, a bizarre monument to his own legend, an autobiographical poem in stone and landscape. It sounds less like a home and more like this elaborate living museum to Gabriele D'Annunzio.
What was the purpose? Why build something so extravagant?
Il Vittoriale became his new stage, the ultimate manifestation of life as art. He was basically creating his own legacy in real time, ensuring his legend would last.
What's it like?
You can still visit it. The preserved rooms, symbolic gardens, and astonishingly, the entire hull of the torpedo boat Puglia, which he used in the war, is permanently installed on a hillside overlooking the lake.
The whole boat.
The whole front section, yeah.
Yeah.
It's incredible. And visitors became participants in D'Annunzio's ongoing performance piece. He'd receive them in different rooms to create specific effects. Scholars in the library, beautiful women in the music room, politicians in the war memorial room.
All staged.
Completely. That famous 1925 meeting with Mussolini at Il Vittoriale. D'Annunzio meticulously staged it to subtly assert his superiority over his former disciple, to show who really held the artistic and intellectual authority.
Did he say anything memorable?
In his private diary, D'Annunzio wrote down what he told Mussolini. "You think like a bureaucrat when you should dream like a god. Power without poetry is mere tyranny. Glory without beauty is mere noise."
Wow. Cutting. And his death.
March 1st, 1938. Was it as theatrical as his life?
In its own way, yes. He was found at his desk in Il Vittoriale, working on his memoirs. His funeral became this huge national event. Mussolini declared 3 days of mourning. Crowds lined the roads from Lake Garda. Even in death, he commanded the stage.
Incredible.
His enduring legacy. It's complex. Maybe the poet Sembonelli put it best at the funeral. He was the last Renaissance prince and the first modern celebrity, a man who lived simultaneously in ancient Greece in the 20th century.
That captures it well.
Bonelli continued. He showed us that. The human spirit could still soar like an eagle, could still create beauty that outlasts empires. And it's worth remembering that final letter from Sarah Bernhardt found among his papers.
Yes.
"My beautiful eagle, you taught me that love and art are the same divine madness. When they speak of the 20th century, they will speak of you as its most magnificent dreamer." His influence on Italian identity, on the idea of the charismatic leader, on merging art and public life, it's undeniable.
And Il Vittoriale is still there today. It's still there on Lake Garda. A national monument, attracts hundreds of thousands of visitors, and over the entrance, his motto is inscribed, "I have what I gave."
I have what I gave makes you think.
And that really brings us to the central paradox, doesn't it? And maybe a question for you, our listener. D'Annunzio's life was this powerful demonstration that individual human beings can indeed transform the world through sheer force of imagination allied with uncompromising commitment to beauty.
But
was that vision noble inspiration or dangerous delusion? He was less a man, perhaps, than a living symbol of Italian possibility. Magnificent, impossible, unforgettable. His story really makes us question the true cost and the true power of living life as a work of art.
indeed, what aspect of your own life could you transform into a work of art if you truly embraced D'Annunzio's spirit of, well, uncompromising commitment to beauty and personal vision? It really makes you think, how much of our own existence are we willing to make magnificent?